everyone. Today's first listen is a band called Sigur Rós. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it quite right, but anyway, that's my attempt. And the title of the song is Hoppípolla? Hoppípolla? I'm not sure. I have a couple paragraphs to read here. Maybe I should just dive in and read them because I'm kind of stumbling around at the moment. Sigur Rós is an Icelandic post-rock band that formed in 1994 in Reykjavik. While incorporating classical and minimal aesthetic elements, the vocals are sung in Icelandic and non-linguistic vocalizations the band terms vonlenska. This is interesting because it seems that something about Icelandic culture, traditions, brings some unique elements to music. I'm thinking of a classical pianist, modern, contemporary, Vikingur Olafsson, who also has some interesting musical approaches to traditional classical music, say Bach, for example. Some of his stuff I listen to and I think, oh, I don't know if I really like that. But at the same time, it makes me hear it a new way. And that I love. And, well, what I hear in his music is a sort of minimal aesthetic at times applied to classical music. So, well, post-rock with classical and minimal aesthetic elements, this could be interesting. Hoppípolla is a song from their 2005 album Tak. The song title is a univerbation of Hoppa y Polla. The A in Hoppa is not pronounced, which is Icelandic for hopping into puddles. Oh, how cute is that? Hoppípolla, hopping into puddles. I was just thinking of, the season is changing. I need to get my little girl her first pair of rain boots because she's going to be hopping into puddles before too long. The lyrics are mainly in Icelandic with some nonsensical phrases, the vonlenska language. Hoppípolla is the band's most successful singles, charting at number 24 on the UK singles chart in May 2006. It is also considered the best-known song within its genre. Well, I'm really curious about this, so let's hear it. Piano. Okay, I gotta stop for a minute. So I feel like I ought to read the lyrics out loud now because I have the ability to follow along and I am enjoying how this music is kind of expressing what the lyrics are. And besides, there's a line that made me smile. Smiling, spinning round and round, holding hands, the whole world a blur, but you are standing, soaked, completely drenched, no rubber boots. That's what made me smile. I just said I was thinking of buying my little girl her first pair. No rubber boots. This is really experiencing this to the fullest. Running inside us, want to erupt from a shell. The wind, an outdoor smell of your hair. I breathe as hard as I can with my nose. Jump into puddles with no boots on. Completely drenched, soaked, with no boots on. And I get a nosebleed, but I always stand up. And then in parentheses it says, Hopplandish. And I get a nosebleed, but I always stand up. And then the Hopplandish, whatever language that is. Doesn't that really capture an experience? Well, one thing I'm noticing when I think of jumping into puddles, I think of wet and splashy. And it's interesting to me that this music isn't so much about the wet and the splashy in the way that my first instinct is to think of it. It sounds like these puddles are a bit cold, actually. Doesn't the music have this icy, cold quality to it? So this is maybe an early spring rain where the ground is still cold and your feet aren't wearing boots. That means you must be barefoot, right? Your feet are cold. They're pink with the cold, and you can hardly feel the ground, and yet it's painful at the same time. You can tell I've done this before, right? But I love how the music is capturing a certain kind of experience. Smiling, spinning round and round, holding hands, the whole world a blur, but you are standing soaked, completely drenched. And I guess that's what I feel it's getting at. Soaked, completely drenched. When I hear this music and we hear the cold piano, but then there's this drenching of sound, which you're now wet and cold, right? Running inside us, want to erupt from a shell. This embracing of the entire experience. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? And I like it. I also notice, well, it started with piano, and it certainly does have this minimalistic element to it, with the style of piano, which is actually, you hear that in modern classical music a lot too. So certainly it's kind of hard to lock it into a particular genre. Although the drums, they kind of do move it away from classical towards rock, or at least after rock. Like you're just throwing yourself into it. I like it. I like it a lot. I love how it becomes so supremely joyful and joyous. It's as if the strings are trying to express even more and to say more than they can actually say. And in this last section, which I didn't stop in the middle, although I was tempted to, I didn't, because it just has this bursting at the seams. I want to explode with joy and exuberance. And I love that about it. So, and then this ending, it's so interesting. Actually, I want to hear this ending again. It's almost as if it is now bringing us down to practical matters. We are now soaked. And our clothes are wet, and it's a bit difficult to move. And we're walking back to the house with our clothes clinging to us. And then you hear the door squeak as we push it open to go get dry. So it captures the complete abandonment of oneself into this really, shall we say, nonsensical activity, jumping in puddles, just for the fun of it, just because we want to, just because we feel like, yeah, there's running inside us. We want to erupt from a shell, and then we do it in spite of the fact that I get a nosebleed, but I always stand up afterwards. And then at the end, it's like, we do it, and then we gather ourselves together, and we feel so good. That was such a fun, great experience. Now let's go get dried off before we freeze. Well, that was a lot of fun. And as you can tell, I am the type who loves to abandon myself to nonsensical activities from time to time. And I really enjoyed how this piece was such a great expression of that. But more than that, I love the way it just feels like an embracing of the experience of life. And whether it's jumping in puddles or running in the wind or just staring up at the sky and watching the clouds float by, it's this feeling of I am going to abandon myself and immerse myself in whatever sensory experience just refreshes me and refreshes my perspective on the whole world. And then I'll get back to work. Now, musically, stylistically, as I said at the beginning, this is certainly not just rock music. And in fact, it didn't even pretend to say so. The introduction said it's post-rock. And I guess this is another point at which we can see different worlds coming together, because in this modern era, even classical music, we could say, is post-rock classical. And I have to say that it reminds me a lot of a specific composer, and that is Arvo Pärt. And if you listen to some of Arvo's music, you hear the same sort of icy qualities, the same sort of minimalism to a certain degree, and the same sort of beautiful, long, sort of dissonant, but not uncomfortably so, harmonies and melodic lines, whether it's a vocal piece, a piano piece. In fact, just for fun, really easy to do, look up two pieces on YouTube. In fact, I'll have Vlad put the links below so that you can have good links to them. One is a piano piece, another is a choral piece. And tell me if you hear the same similarities. I would love to hear in the comments your thoughts on how this Sigur Rós band compares to someone like Arvo Pärt. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I'll see you soon.